And I want to preface this by saying, it sounds like I constantly pick on the guy, but he hasn't been good. And I understand he's probably going through a lot. Unfortunately, Brodie's wife has MS, so he's dealing with that. In November, I believe his father passed away from cancer. And I don't care, what you do for a living, those things are going to affect you. And if you watch him play, it's affecting him. In the offensive zone, the defensive zone, like last night, he's just coughing up the puck with simple passes. He's giving away the puck. He's misreading things. He can't clear the zone, and it's happening time and time again. And if you look at the last, 4 games with him and Rielly together, they've been on the ice for 5 goals against. And that may not seem like a lot, but it is for your top pairing because those are your 2 horses that are going to be out there in almost every situation. So you need them to be at your best, and you need them to do the basics correctly. And if you watch Brodie at the moment, he can't clear the front of the net. The effort isn't there. It's almost a lack of effort. When he's trying to clear the zone, it's very soft. It's causing the Toronto Maple Leafs issues more often times than not. But game and again, what's Sheldon Keefe doing? He's keeping them together. I don't know why he doesn't just try and switch them up and maybe put Simon Benoit beside Morgan Rielly. And people will say that's kind of crazy, but let me tell you why. If you go back to last postseason, name the best defensive pairing for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Can you remember?
No.
Morgan Rielly and Luke Schenn. And when Luke Schenn came in, everyone was like, you're putting Schenn with Rielly? That ended up being their shutdown pair. They were logging the most minutes. Morgan Rielly would talk about how much he loved playing with Luke Schenn because Luke Schenn plays the physical side of the game. You know he's going to clear the front of the net every time. He knows exactly how to clear the zone. That allows Rielly to play his offensive game. And Rielly's defensive abilities are pretty good too. Now you put someone like that beside him, it upped his game. And that was Morgan Rielly's best performance in a playoff that he's ever played in as a Toronto Maple Leaf. So I say give a shot to Simon Benoit. At this moment in time, you're trying different things. You have to try something with your top pairing. You might have to drop Brodie to a bottom 3. Unfortunately, you can't scratch him. Benching him is not the answer because they don't have the bodies to overcome that. I mean, they have to rest Giordano every other game almost because he's an older player and you don't want to get that many miles on the guy's legs heading into the postseason. So you got to try something different. Keefe loves trying things with the bottom 6, loves trying things with the bottom 2 pairings. I think it's time to start to do something with the top pair.
That's okay. Well, good. First things first is good. It's good what you prefaced on what TJ Brodie's dealing with in his personal life, because again, that is something that is weighs on you heavy. I know Brock Besser last year lost his father, and he was very openly emotional about how it affected him and affected his season.
Right.
And we're seeing now this year with Brock Besser, he's coming with a clear mind, a clear conscience, and he's been on fire, right? TJ Brodie is logging those minutes with Morgan Rielly also because they have no other options, as you mentioned, right? They just don't have the capable bodies to log those type of minutes. When you look at the Toronto Maple Leafs, Albert, you could try putting a guy like Simon Benoit up with a top pair or something like that. It's very, I'm just looking at the ice time last night. Let me pull it up right here. Last night, the ice time was dispersed by Benoit played 16 minutes. Brodie 21 minutes, 19 for Liljegren, and then Connor Timmins played the least amount with 12 minutes. Right? The Leafs need a guy like Connor Timmins to play 16 minutes as well. They need to have it spaced out and spread it out a lot more because they're very thin.
Connor Timmins is going to be playing 16 minutes a night.
But that's what I'm saying. They need him to elevate his game because, like you mentioned, do you want a guy like TJ Brodie who's been struggling all season to be logging 20-plus minutes a game out there against another team's top pairing?
Well, that's what I mean. That's exactly what I'm saying. That's
what I'm saying. Either you have to make a move or you need to have somebody elevate their play from within. And I just don't see that. He's being forced into a position where he's probably not slotted to be in. TJ Brodie at this point of his career is a bottom 6, a bottom pairing guy or a 5th or 6th defenseman, in my personal opinion. I don't see him as a top pairing guy. And you mentioned Luke Schenn. The difference between Luke Schenn and TJ Brodie is Luke Schenn is much more of a stay-at-home guy, and he's a bigger body that can clear the front of that. TJ Brodie is not the biggest or most physically imposing defenseman out there, right? It's hard for him to clear out the front of the net with those forwards. We saw that on Saturday against Vancouver. We saw that last night as well.
It's not that it's hard.
It's physically taxing on him.
No, he's not doing it. You go back to the game against Edmonton, the lack of effort to get to the front of the net. Like, that has nothing to do with not being able to push somebody off the puck. There's more to it. And I still think there's a really good player there in TJ Brodie. You don't just lose it. We've talked about this all season in Toronto, whether it's like Alec Manoah or Samsonov and now TJ Brodie. You don't just lose it. There's more to it. There's obviously more to it. And I should probably say that, I said Keith won't break up the top pair, but he actually did that this season. I forgot to mention it. He did it in New York. He started Liljegren beside Morgan Rielly. He lost that game. I think late in the game he made a change and then started again against Buffalo, and I think Buffalo put 9 on the Leafs that night. And it didn't work because Rielly and Liljegren, two similar players. You need a good balance there. That's why I'm saying Simon Benoit. Once again, Benoit had another good game. He's been Mr. Consistent. Sheldon Keefe said the same thing. He goes, he's getting better and better and better and better. I think it's worth a shot. You take on Winnipeg, or maybe it's not this soon. Maybe you wait till after the All-Star break. But something needs to be done. You have to try something different. Morgan Rielly's having a good season. Make it even better. Put someone beside him who's going to be his defensive stalwart, at least for
I just don't think Keefe trusts putting a guy like Benoit in there against an opposing team's top line.
But he trusts Timothy Liljegren. What's the difference?
Again,
There's no difference.